I took the TV down. I took the TV off of my wall. I finally took it down. August 18th, 2023. I took that sucker off the wall. I'm going to talk about my biggest fears around that, and actually the biggest fear, and could turn into a multi-part episode. We'll see. Listen in.
You know when someone is selling from stage and at the end the audience gets up and rushes to the back of the room to buy? That's a table rush. My name is Misha Z, and the Table Rush Talk Show is all about bringing you the tools, strategies, and tactics that you can use to grow your audience and inspire them to buy.
Yes, so I took the TV down August 18th, 2023. And by the way, I got rid of all my streaming subscriptions as well, so I can't just watch it on the iPad or watch it on the phone. And I don't do a ton of YouTubing, and I've pretty much weaned myself off of the social media because I took the Facebook app off my main phone. I took the Instagram app off my main phone. Basically stripped down my main phone to my one core email address. I have, multiple email addresses, and so I had them all, obviously on your phone you can check multiple email addresses. So it's like most of these are unimportant in the moment, and I could time block checking those emails. By the way, it's 7:30 in the morning, Encinitas, California time. Lovely, lovely morning. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty out right now. I am a little bit tired though. I was up at 5 a.m. I seem to wake up at 5 a.m. these days. So it's been a long morning already, said in a good way, but I am a little bit tired. I also want to say I am going through a bout of insecurity about recording episodes on my podcast. It's funny, I've been listening to a ton of other people's podcasts lately, and a lot of them are super structured and mine aren't. So I have a ton of notes for this episode I'm going to record, and we'll see if it turns into 1, 2, or 3 episodes. But yeah, so I'm having insecurities about the structure of my podcasts, and am I doing it right? La 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 la. And I've been podcasting for a good 3 years now, coming up on the 3-year mark, and I've done 650 some episodes, and slowly but surely, gaining a following, gaining reviews. I get unsolicited feedback now and then how I am inspiring people and helping people, and they love certain episodes and this and that. So that's all great positive feedback. However, I'll be listening to other people's episodes, podcasts, and then I fall into the compare mode. Don't worry, I'm going to get to the point too about taking the TV off the wall. But I listen to these super structured podcasts. I start comparing, and you know what? I can only listen to the super structured podcast so long. My head starts to hurt. It's like you guys are giving me a headache so much. It's like so much, how do I want to say it? So much structure. Do this, do this, do this. And I don't feel like much personality. Or maybe that is their personalities. There's no personality. Or their personality doesn't resonate with me. How about that? And I'll also say this. I've listened to some super big podcasts that may or may not be structured. I'll listen to them and they just don't resonate. And I'm like, yeah, I don't see why people like this. But they've got, 10,000 5-star reviews. I'm like, I guess they're just not my people. And that's okay. And I'll give one last thought in that regard, and I'll get to it. As I've been working to guest speak on other people's podcasts, listening to these other podcasts, many of which are huge, I was like, oh, well, how could I come up with a show idea that would fit for that podcast, that might be engaging for their audience? So it's kind of fun to think about that, because I've come up with some good ideas. Okay, let's get to the meat of this. Taking the TV off the wall. So first off, there have been times in my life where I had no TV, and this is pre-internet. So when I went off to college, when I was 21 years old, I didn't have a TV. I started staying in dorm rooms, then I finally got my own apartment. But I did not get a TV for my dorm room. And then ultimately, when I moved into an apartment out of the dorms, I just didn't get a TV. I was like, I like this, no TV. And they had a community in the dorms, they had a community spot to watch TV. So there was the living room of the dorm where they had the TV, and people would gather. And so that was super fun. And keep in mind, this was the early 90s. It's like 89, 90, 91, 92 were my main college years. That's 1989, by the way. That's when I first went off to college. And I remember fondly sitting in, the dorm gathering center, whatever, where all the couches were and the TV were. And what would people watch mostly at the time? You'd come back during the day from class, and a group of people would be watching the soap operas. So funny. So now and then I would watch an episode of a soap opera and bark at the TV with the other dorm people. Anyway, when I finally, graduated from college and was living in apartments with people, I just never got a TV. I was like, I like this no TV thing. And oftentimes people would have their own TVs in the living room, so I never really needed one. And I didn't watch TV anyway. It sort of broke the habit, my teenage habit of watching Gilligan's Island and MASH and what else? The Brady Bunch. We had 2 channels in Wyoming, Jackson, Wyoming. We had 2 channels. And the TV that my father had in his kitchen, in our kitchen, was a black and white TV. Can you believe that? Back in the day, we used to have black and white TVs, and a color TV was a big deal. I also, speaking to that, remember when we got a microwave, and that was a big deal. That was probably 1978 or something like that. Who knows what that is, when that was. And speaking even more to that, I just was reading a statistic that I believe it was 1890 something, when my mind's blanking, but that guy who invented the light bulb or electricity, the incandescent light bulb. No, not Tesla. He was battling with Tesla. It wasn't Jefferson. What's the gosh darn guy's name who was flying the kite and got struck by lightning? I'm sure it'll come to me. People also say, oh yeah, it took him 10,000 tries to get the light bulb. So anyway, dude invents the light bulb, and he invents the incandescent light bulb 20 years later. So this is like 1910, 1917, somewhere in there. 20 years after, it wasn't Jefferson. I don't think it was Jefferson. Who was it? I don't know. After the dude invents the light bulb, only 3% of the country had adopted electricity. So he invents electricity, the light bulb. 20 years later, only 3% of America has embraced it. So the early 1900s, tiny percent, 3 homes out of 100 have electricity and a light bulb. That's in the 1910s, 1920s. 1980, when I'm a teenager, electricity is obviously dominating our lives. That is crazy to me to think about that. I read that and thought about that and thought, holy mackerel. If you think about it, it's been 100 years since the advent of electricity and full production mode with electricity. But 100 years ago, most of us were sitting around in candles, with candlelight. How crazy is that? Candlelight, lanterns, gas lamps, wooden stoves, coal-burning stoves, ovens that were run by wood in your house. That was your central heat, your wood-burning stove, and then your other oven. It was probably gas by then. I don't know. Just crazy thoughts. So anyway, I didn't have a TV for many, many years. So then I'm living in San Francisco in the Lower Haight, and I meet a girl, and Dawn, my boy's mom, and she loves the X-Files. And so I fall in love with Dawn, laying next to her on her bed in her room, watching the X-Files, and I would always fall asleep. She lived in this flat with 3 other girls. I actually had a room there too. I lived there, that's how I met her. But again, I had no TV. The other roommates had TVs in their rooms. So I would go into Dawn's room. We were friends, and I would watch the X-Files. Oh my gosh, I hope this is adding value and you're getting enjoyment out of this. This is definitely going to be a multi-parter, and this is part 1. So fast forward, we fall in love, get married, and we have a TV, and now TVs have firmly been introduced into my life, and this is the late 90s by now. And she's like, hey, there's this show called Friends. And I'm like, what? Friends? So, if you can believe it, I had never seen an episode of Friends or Seinfeld, like 2 of the biggest series in television history. She's like, check this out. So anyway, we fall in love, get married, and start having babies with Seinfeld and Friends in the backdrop. When we finally got married and had a house and all that, I was like, no TV in the living room. No TV. Oh, not in the living room, in the bedroom. We can have TVs everywhere else you want, but let's keep TVs out of the bedroom. I'd read somewhere that TVs in the bedroom are, I don't know what the deal was, not healthy for a relationship or something. And I don't know if that's true or not, don't really care. The counterpoint would be, if you like watching TV with your significant other in bed, and that's a time where you hold hands or lay next to each other or banter about, then have a freaking TV in your bedroom. I better cut to the chase. So fast forward to getting close to August 18th, 2023. I have found myself being like, these streaming channels are silly. There's just so much redundant bad content. And redundant is like saying the same over and over. It's just the same content with a different name on it. And just so much bad content. And I found myself sitting there spending a lot of time searching for shows to watch. It was almost like I spent more time searching for shows to watch than actually watching shows. And it just reminded me so horribly of my high school years when I would sit on the freaking chair close enough to turn the channel on the TV and was just mindlessly changing the channel after school. And it all came to a head with Game of Thrones. I was binge watching. I had just finished binge watching Game of Thrones for a third time. And it was so painful. And I was like, what am I doing? It just psychically hurt me. There are a couple fun episodes, but my excuse was I really just wanted to watch the Long Night episode, which is like the second or third to last episode of the whole series, where, you know, they're battling the army of the dead in Winterfell. They're like trying to hold Winterfell against the army of the dead. I love that episode. It's so good. And then I like the next episode, or maybe it's a couple later, where they destroy the Red Keep. Like, both those episodes are great with Sansa. You know, they just go so deep on the Sansa character. But my excuse was, I'll enjoy those episodes more if I watch the whole series to get engaged with the characters again. So I power watched 8 seasons of Game of Thrones just to get to those 2 episodes. And I was like, it is time to take this TV off the wall. I can't watch the 70th season of Chopped. Like, whatever nuance changes they're trying to make Chopped better and stay relevant, it's not working. It's horrible. It's like pulling my teeth out. So I had so many fears wrapped around letting go of the TV and taking it down. And I'll talk about that on the upcoming part 2, 3, 4, however many it takes. But I'll get to it. So the TV is off the wall. I have canceled all my streaming subscriptions, actually except for Amazon Prime, but Amazon Prime is so bad with content that I never watched it anyway, and I still use Prime for all my overnight shipping needs. But I was thinking, what would my life be like without Amazon Prime? What if I had just had regular old Amazon? Anyway, listen in for the next rounds of episodes, and I'll get into my fears, and my biggest fear, which has to do with my relationship with my 20-year-old son.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.